Around the 1940s, a family lived happily in suburban Pennsylvania. They are Chris, Kathy, and twins Carrie and Corey, and their parents are Christopher and Corinne. One day, Kathy was very sad to learn that her father would soon be leaving on a business trip because he was the only person who paid more attention to her. She thought she would be the forgotten girl at home because the others were busy with their own affairs. However, her father immediately cheered her up by giving her a ring and telling her to be a strong girl while he was away at work. Unfortunately, when the family throws a surprise party to celebrate Christopher's promotion, police officers arrive to inform them that Christopher has died in an accident. This spontaneously breaks Corinne's feelings, causing her to become depressed. Meanwhile, when the twins asked about their father, Chris was forced to frankly tell them that he had died. Kathy asked Corinne if they would be okay without Christopher, considering that now she couldn't pay her monthly ballet class fees. Then Corinne tells her that she will do her best even though it is difficult for her to get a high-paying job due to her lack of skills. The next day, Corinne happily told her children that the letter she had sent to her parents many times had finally received an answer. She said that they were allowed to stay temporarily at her parents' house in Virginia because the assets that Corinne currently owned would soon be confiscated by the bank. She asked for understanding from the duo, who had to sacrifice their education to comply with her request because this was the only way to improve their finances. So that they wouldn't drown in sadness, she assured them that they would live happily in the house of her extraordinarily rich parents. She also reminded them that from now on, their family name would no longer be Dollenganger but Foxworth. That evening, Corinne took her children to go to Virginia by train. They were so excited that Kathy shared her plans with Chris about what she would do at their grandparents' house in the future. Unfortunately, when they arrived at the station in their destination city, it turned out that no one was there to pick them up, so they had to walk to Corinne's parents' house. The twins complained while they were walking, but luckily, Chris was able to make them hold their patience. A few moments later, they arrived at the Foxworth residence and were greeted directly by Corinne's mother, Olivia, who invited them into the house with a cynical expression. They were then taken to a special room where the children would sleep because apparently Olivia didn't want her husband to know that their grandchildren now lived with them. Olivia asks Corinne, do her children have any hidden illnesses or disabilities? In response, Corinne claimed that they were perfect physically and mentally. Olivia then told the two older children to sleep in separate beds, so that boy with boy and girl with girl. After that, she told the children that she would lock the bedroom door from the outside when Corinne wasn't with them. Chris asked Corinne to explain why their grandfather shouldn't know about their presence, and Corinne revealed that when she was 18, she had done something her parents disapproved of, which led to her being hated and excluded from her father's will. Because of that, now she has returned to reconnect with him, who is now dying, so that after he dies, she will be included in his will again. She promised that when she got the treasure, she would make her children's dreams come true. But for now, she advised not to make their grandmother angry. The night passed quickly, and Olivia returned to the children's room to inform them of mealtimes and give them breakfast. She also announced some rules they had to obey. First, make the room always seem unoccupied. Second, maintain good body hygiene. Third, don't bathe with people of different genders. And the most important thing is not to be noisy. She recommended the attic if the twins wanted to play and make noise. She emphasized that no one should see or hear them, because if the grandfather found out about their presence, the consequence would be being sent away without money or worse. After she left, the children began to explore the attic, where the twins complained that the place was hot and dusty. They wanted to play in the garden. Luckily, Chris managed to make them cheerful again by making a swing. Chris advised that they had to be patient in this situation, and he optimistically stated that this week their mother would succeed in getting their father's inheritance, and they would be rich and return to normal life. At dinner time, the children made a noise in the room which invited their mother to come. Before she had time to speak, Olivia also came and caught them and asked Corinne out. A few moments later, Corinne returned to her children's room only to hear the twins' complaints about wanting to leave the house immediately. When Carrie screams at Corinne, Olivia comes angrily and covers her mouth while Corey bites her hand. Corinne then stops her from being evil and threatens that they will leave the house forever. When Olivia didn't care, Corinne just kept quiet because she didn't mean what she said. Olivia then told Corinne to open her blouse, and to the children's surprise they saw many whip wounds on their mother's back. She insists that this is what will happen when they don't want to obey her rules. She also revealed that she carried out this punishment to atone for the sins their mother committed with their grandfather in the past, and for her marriage to their father, which she considered an abomination in the eyes of God. The next day, Corinne helps the duo turn the attic into a more pleasant place. She told them that the grandmother had shortness of breath, which meant she would never go there, so they didn't need to worry about this. Kathy then questioned the grandmother's words regarding Corinne's marriage to their father. And here Corinne reveals her life history, which surprises her children. She admitted that when she was a little girl she was very close to her father, which made Olivia jealous of her because she always did everything with him. One day when her father started to get busy with his work, she became lonely. However, in her solitude, suddenly her father's younger half-brother, whom she considered handsome, came to join her family because his mother had died. She fell in love with him, and they married without her family's consent, which caused her to be hated and her inheritance rights disinherited by her father. She asked the duo for understanding in being this kind of mother because sometimes things just happen against their will. A week has passed and during that time Corinne hasn't seen her children. Kathy made a mark on the wall to count the days when their mother left without news, but they remained patient. The next day, Corinne suddenly appears carrying toys for them. She explains that she must always accompany her father in order for her plan to succeed, and as a result she is now close to him again. Hearing that, Kathy asked why she didn't immediately tell her father that he had 4 grandchildren from her. She also asked for confirmation when they would leave that place, because it had been a month and she was sick of being there. Hi, before we continue the story, make sure you have pressed the subscribe button. Thank you. Corinne then confessed that she would never tell her father about them because he would only forgive her on one condition: not having children with Christopher. Even though she was disappointed, Kathy accepted this fact steadfastly and tried to continue to believe in her mother's plan. A few months later, the kids worked together to make a big Christmas card for their grandmother. Sadly, when they showed her the card, she just ignored them and left. This hurt Kathy's feelings until she lost her enthusiasm and just lay down on the bed. But she became cheerful again when Corinne came to distribute gifts to them. Corinne brought the happy news today that she had successfully re-entered her father's will, and what was even more exciting was that she would inherit everything. She also tells them that tonight her father will be throwing a party with champagne and a live orchestra. Hearing that, Kathy became interested and asked her permission to come watch with Chris. At first Corinne was hesitant because there was too much risk of being discovered, but because she didn't want to hinder Kathy's happiness, she decided to allow them on the condition that they had to hide during the party. They were then put into a small cupboard which had many holes in the back, and for the first time, they got to see their grandfather, Malcolm, when he was giving their mother a necklace. After that, the duo accidentally caught their mother being seduced by her boyfriend named Bart in the hallway. He admitted that he couldn't wait to live life alone with her, making Kathy annoyed to see them. Therefore, she decided to return to the room while Chris chose to explore the house for a moment. He went to a room where he saw his grandfather being looked after by servants. After that, he found his mother's room, which was comfortable, different from his bed. Unbeknownst to him, Corinne was panicking while scolding Kathy, knowing that Chris was walking around. When Chris returned to the room, she immediately slapped him and warned him not to repeat his actions again. The next day, Corinne returns to her children's room to apologize for her rudeness last night, saying that she was just afraid they would be found out. She realized that she had treated her children badly, and she admitted that their coming to the house was a mistake, so now she invites them to leave with the consequence that they will never be able to return. Knowing that, Chris immediately hugged Corinne to reassure her that they still believed in her plan. A year has passed, and the 2 older children are starting to show signs of maturity. Because of this, Corinne gave guidance to Kathy about things that would change in her and Chris's bodies. When she was in the mirror trying on the underwear her mother had given her, Chris came in and was shocked to see that she was different. Before he could speak, their grandmother came only to misunderstand their situation, thinking they had done something bad. She then told Chris to cut Kathy's hair as punishment, or they would be deprived of food forever. However, after several days had passed, Chris still didn't want to do it, causing the children to starve, especially the twins. Suddenly, Olivia returned to their room to give them a basket of food, and the next day Kathy found her hair had been cut messily, and there were tar stains in her hair. Chris helped her remove the tar stain but failed. When they finally decide to cut Kathy's hair, Chris suddenly talks about his attraction to the girl when he saw her. Then he immediately hurriedly cut her hair and left, leaving Kathy confused. One day, Kathy repeated her ballet movements in the attic, but she stopped because there was no partner to accompany her. When Chris refused her invitation, they got into a joke that made them fall on the bed together, and then the twins came to stop them. The duo asked the twins to leave the room for their health, but they refused. Kathy then assumes that they will never grow if they are trapped in that attic forever. Because of that, she was determined that one day they would have to escape from that house no matter what. When night falls, the duo sneaks out of the house only to swim in the lake. Then they chatted where Kathy asked where their mother had gone, who hadn't seen them for 2 months. However, Chris apparently doesn't really care about her anymore and is starting to doubt her plans. The next day, Corinne suddenly came to their room bringing lots of gifts for them. She informed that she had married her attorney father, Bart, several months ago, and today she had just returned from her honeymoon in Europe. Knowing this, Chris immediately became angry, thinking that she only cared about herself, but didn't care about her children. He fulfilled his mother's promise that she intended to stay in the house for one night, but now more than 2 years later they are still trapped there. A few minutes later, Olivia came to their room to deliver donuts from Corinne, but she advised the children not to eat them. The other day, Olivia suddenly became angry when she found out that Chris's real name was the same as his father, Christopher. She immediately gave him a caning while Kathy and the twins just waited for the punishment to be finished in the attic. After that, holding back her fear, Kathy immediately treated the whip wound on Chris's back. Chris then tried to calm her down, and when they looked into each other's eyes, he kissed her on the lips. The next day, when Kathy was comforting Chris, who was thinking about their actions, Olivia suddenly came and questioned what their closeness meant. Chris admits that they have sinned and pretends to apologize to her. It turns out he deliberately made that confession in order to copy Olivia's master key in the soap. After that, he immediately carved a copy of the key from wood and they were now free to roam the house. They then worked together to steal as much money as possible to escape funds, but they only got a little. Chris explains that they need at least $1,000, so they still have a few weeks to steal. When they found out that the yard was being fenced, they continued their theft. Unfortunately, when Kathy entered Corinne's room, she found Bart, who was half asleep, and kissed him. As a result, he reported the kiss to Corinne, and Chris accidentally heard their conversation. Angry, Chris immediately scolded Kathy for being careless, which resulted in their mother now finding out about the theft they had committed. He tried to give her a stern warning, but Kathy screamed in pain. After that, Kathy calmed him down and they shared another kiss. The next day, Corey fell ill, which required him to be hospitalized intensively. After several days had passed, Corinne came to tell her children that Corey had died of pneumonia and he had been buried. Carrie immediately cried when she heard this news, and Corinne just apologized and left. From here, the duo made up their mind to escape from the house, and they started theft again. How shocked they were when they found out that their mother had moved out of the house, leaving them behind. Chris tells Kathy that from now on, Corinne is dead to them. When he arrived at his grandfather's room, he heard the servants chatter explaining that it turned out that his grandfather had died 7 months ago. He also found her grandmother combing her wig and accidentally coughed, which caused Olivia to notice his presence. He immediately returned to the room where he realized that in fact they had been poisoned by Olivia, and that was why they were all sick now. A few seconds later, she came into the room asking for the children's keys, but Chris gives the key to Kathy and traps Olivia in the attic stairs. When Chris closed all the doors, Olivia admitted that it was their own mother who poisoned them. Because that fact was no longer important, they immediately went out the window and then climbed down using the rope. They ran through the forest and then boarded a train. Finally, now they were completely free and had it all before them. They promised that one day, they would return to meet Corinne, who had abandoned them.